Okay, guys, this is the next day after we changed the mechanical filtration. As you can see, the water is crystal clear on all these tanks. Bottom tank, top tank. Bottom one is 55, top one is 75. Um, you can see that tank. This tank here is the 20-gallon high, which is crystal clear. So is the bottom one there. Um, and the 220 gallons and the 55 gallon all have crystal clear water. And that's mainly because I trust the polyfill. Okay, the polyfill is your mechanical filtration. The polyfill is pretty much what's going to keep your tank crystal clear. That's all I use is polyfill. I showed you guys yesterday what the bag looks like. Your um, biological media is what keeps your parameters good. Your nitrates, your ammonia, nitrites, because you want to make sure that your beneficial bacteria has something to hold on to. And of course, my tanks are also seasoned, so that means that the gravel, the sand, um, the wood in there is all um, pretty much all eaten up a lot, carrying a lot of the beneficial bacteria, I should say. So it's very important that you have that. But if you want your tank crystal clear, does not necessarily mean that it's going to be good for the fish. You have to make sure that um, your water parameters are good. If they're not, then you're not going to have healthy fish. But it is always good to have your tanks looking good. As you can see, like I said, it's crystal clear. I don't use any chemicals. It's all that um, polyfill. And the bag was right there. That's what I use. And I'm going to go downstairs and show you guys how I filter the basement. So hang tight, but you can see how good my tanks look. No debris in the water, and I don't run a lot of plants in this fish room because it's in the garage. It's hard for me to keep sunlight in here, even though I do have the lights in the tank. But sometimes natural light is better than your tank lights, and plus it doesn't the water the temperature in here doesn't stay the same, and I also don't do a lot of water changes. So I mainly concern myself with the fish anyway. So that's what we concern ourselves with. Anyway, let me go downstairs and show you guys what we do downstairs. This is the third part of the video. Just want to show you how we cleaned up. You can hear it how nice and quiet is in here. And getting back to the intake, I want to show you guys real quick. Um, okay, so it's right there is the intake or the outtake, and the intake's right next to it. So the outtake, you can tell you can see it's inside the water, and you can see it's creating a lot of surface agitation because it's like right on because my water line is right where the black of the tank is, so you can see how much flow it goes out. It's a pretty high flow filter, so I'm pretty happy about it. But let me go downstairs and show you guys what we got going on down there as far as how we filter those tanks. Hold on. Okay, guys, here's another example of how good these tanks look after I did a water change. You can see this tank is thriving. It's got a bunch of babies in there. If you look at the top, bunch of babies. Tank is doing great. It's seasoned. It's got one big plant in there, but we actually got two big plants in there. And some of the guppies are hiding in the plants. But for the most part, we have a good seasoned tank here, and the um, I do use the polyfill in this tank too. As you can see, tank looks amazing. Um, yeah, so and that's the crystal clear tank, and that's the filter we use. We in this tank we use a hang on back and an internal filter which goes inside the tank. Um, I've been using that for a long time, mainly because of the babies in here. They don't suck. These filters don't suck as hard as like a regular, um, a bigger hang on back filter. But there is a sponge filter back there too. Like I say, I always use sponge filters because of in case of a power outage. That is always my a backup plan in case I lose power. I could always run another pump in here. I got another pump that I could use. It's actually I got three. I got one battery operated pump too that I could use for this tank. So um, I always have a sponge filter, so we always filter the tank and have that help it oxygenate the water because obviously if you don't have filtration, you have no water agitation at all, and you have to have some kind of form of oxygen in the water. But obviously, we have plants in here too, so that would help with the oxygen. And of course, the water parameters are always good. That helps with the oxygen too. That's actually a main source of whether or not the fish are going to get enough oxygen. And I also run a coarse sponge on the bottom of the intake, so the babies can thrive in there. And if they do lose some babies, mostly it's because they're eating them. There's some really small babies in there, but there's some ones that are growing high, and they do. These fish, you can tell the mollies probably do eat most of the babies, but I don't like to keep that many babies in here and that population. So even though I do feed these guys a lot, I don't think they eat that many babies, but they do probably pick some off here and there. Anyway, that's the living room tank. Let me go downstairs and show you guys how we filter the ones downstairs. They're crystal clear too, but we run different types of filter down there. So hang on tight. So I'm downstairs in the Fish Nook. I got the washing machine going and the hot water heater. Actually, the heat it's electric heat is on, so it's kind of loud in here. This is the puffer tank, saltwater tank. You see them hanging out down there. I just turn the lights on, so they usually lay at the bottom, and they'll get up. Once he gets once they kind of wake up a little bit. This is where my Jaguar is. This is just a tank for him now. We're gonna be moving fish around once we get a bigger tank. But he's going to be going into a 125 probably. But you can see tank is crystal clear. Sponge filter, and actually there's some ceramic media there. That there too. I run ceramic media. There's also some. I also put some crushed coral in there to keep that pH level the same, steady. Obviously, the goldfish tank. These are all sponge filters, you can see. This has ceramic media on the side there. I always keep a source of where the beneficial bacteria can stay, even though I got rocks in there and gravel. I like to have something that's steady in there and that we know it's going to grab on. These are the goldfish. Obviously, this is a 15-gallon high. Again, another sponge filter. Now, real quick, I do have a hang-on back filter here in case I have to clean that sponge filter out. I can run this one. I usually run it for about a week, and then I'll do a sponge filter change. I'll rinse it, and then I usually run both filters at one time for about a month, and then once I'm comfortable with how much biological filtration, how much beneficial bacteria is in there, I will. I'll switch them out and just run the sponge filter. This one is empty, but there's a sponge filter back there. This also has, these are breeding tanks, so this one has an extra hang on back. If you look real close, I don't have a light on there, but this one here it doesn't have one, but this has an old-fashioned sponge filter where it's compartmentalized. This one down here is the same. If you look real quick, right there, see the middle one? There's ceramic media in there, and then there's your mechanical filtration on the top, which is sponge. That's the same filter as this one here, back there. These are old style filters I got at an auction one time. But they work just the same. But you can see there's an internal filter in there that I use in case I gotta do a water change, or in case something happens with the water, I gotta run another filter. This one is a 10-gallon tank. Has the same type of filter. And this one here too is the same one. As you can see, they're all compartmentalized sponge filter. So there's a sponge on top. It's like almost like an internal filter. Pretty much all the same. This one is a newer style sponge filter, but these old sponge filters have ceramic media in it, and they have a sponge on top. These are from like the 1970s or 80s, believe it or not. They work just the same, believe it or not. It's just the same type of filtration. And it's just like an old hang-on back filter, but it's internal. And of course, we have a bunch of internal filters too. The goldfish tank here, when I do a water change, you have to do the gravel with goldfish because they do make a mess. So I'll do a gravel vac in here, and then I have another down there somewhere, or I could take one of the other filters out of here, like a hang on back. I'll usually maybe take this one out, or I can use the 5-gallon one. This one has one in there, right there, the internal filter. You can see it right there. You can see it on top. That's got polyfill in it too. All these internal ones, like this one. This one here has one too. You can look real close. I don't want to take that off, but there's an internal filter in there too. You can see it back there. Got a bunch of grass in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I do keep extra filters if I run a hang on back. Hang on back sometimes give you clear up the cold water real quick. And you can run, if there's any kind of problem with the water, I usually run two of them at the same time. But this goldfish, this beta tank, the beta's still in there. You can see how much growth I had in this plant going to the light. I got some food in there that's I got to clean this tank out a little bit. But it's got so much plant life in there that it's just crazy how much oxygen that tank has. He's living good in there. He comes out every night when I feed him. But it's really cool. And of course, that's an empty tank. This one's a project I'm working on, possibly in the future. This is where all my snails are for the pufferfish. And I got a space heater up there in case the temperature gets really bad. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's my Fish Nook, the way I run the filters. Most of them are sponge filters. Like I said, I run all kinds of different types of filtration. I did run a sump at the old house with the 150. I like that filtration too. It's good for the fish and the amount of volume I had. I'm hoping to make changes in this room, in this Fish Nook and the fish garage. Hopefully soon we'll get a bigger tank and we can move some fish around. But this is what you got right here. This is the Fish Nook. Like I said, everything is run on sponge filter. I put ceramic media in some of these tanks. I believe there's some of them in this tank too. Actually, this one has it in the sponge filter. That's the old-fashioned one. But there's some stuff back there. You can see there's some ceramic media in the side. I put some extra in there. Actually, I think that's might be more crushed coral. So, and I also run two filters in case I need it. So I'm limited to plug space. I only run one pump, which is back there, that runs all my tanks in here. Every single tank you see in here that has a sponge filter is run off that pump, and that's all I need. And like I said, I'll maneuver plugs around if I have to. I could unplug some lights. This light here is probably enough for them, and that light at the top there. So I unplug lights, and if I have to run a hang-on back filter, I always have a spare. Like I said, power goes out. We got wireless pumps and we got battery-operated pumps that we use in here. So that's how we filter the Fish Nook. That was part 3. That was probably the shortest video of them all. The 27-minute video was kind of long, but the cash filter is also kind of complicated. But that's what we got. All right, guys. So remember, if you can't own them, rehome them. If you have any comments, comment, like, subscribe. You know what to do. Please like the video, guys, if you like it. Even if you don't like the video, if you want to unlike it, that's fine. We could figure out what people don't like it, then we'll have to do some other type of video. But we feel like these videos are being watched. We just need to get likes on them. So that's the Fish Nook, guys. And hopefully we'll make some changes here soon, and we could fix some stuff and make it a little bit more better for the fish. And I'm hoping to get one big tank, and we can move some fish around. And I might knock some fish tanks down. I might do some other different things. I don't know. I'm looking for Christmas, maybe get some more fish in here, and work with some breeding. So we'll see what happens, but it's always something going on. Hopefully we'll keep it going. All right, guys. See you next time.